All right. Like, I really think men can't help themselves with cheating. I really think they can love you and cheat, though.
Do you feel like there are no faithful men left?
The ones I like, none.
Too many things are going this way, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. Even down to my travel, I'm like, ooh, if it's like off, that flight ain't for me, or this ain't for me. Like,
you know, so then that was kind of like a hold up. You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? And
did that make you want to be a rapper more, or make you want to make more money to get it back?
Nah.
Angela Simmons was asked if she was single. She did not give a long answer. She did not perform heartbreak or launch into an explanation. She just said 3 words, not by choice, and let the room figure out the rest. And the room figured it out immediately, because everyone knew exactly who she was pointing at. Everyone knew the story. And those 3 words, delivered with that specific combination of grace and pointed calm, hit harder than any breakdown could have. That was then.
I'd been begging her to be with him for the past 10 years. I want to do something with Angela Simmons. I'm talking about every single place he would go. He would be like, y'all know who I want. Y'all know who my dream girl is.
No.
I'm not with him.
No.
Yeah. Not by choice, but, you know, I respect him.
Now, Yo Gotti is reportedly out here sending flowers, making late-night calls that go unanswered, leaning on mutual friends to carry messages she apparently does not need to receive. The man who spent years publicly chasing Angela Simmons, who turned his crush into a rap lyric for the entire world to hear, who eventually got the girl, who posted the couple content and accepted the congratulations, is now the one chasing. Again.
And rapper turned music mogul Yo Gotti have quietly gone their separate ways, Brad. They say Angela felt like, honey, she was putting in more effort than she was getting back, honey. Now, they're saying Yo Gotti's schedule was nonstop, studios, business, appearances, and she started y'all feeling like she wasn't a priority. And when a woman...
Except this time, he is chasing from a significantly weaker position. His biggest artist just publicly embarrassed him on Instagram Live. The power couple image is gone. And Angela, who walked away before any of this became the full spectacle it became, is apparently unbothered, glowing, and not picking up the phone. This is the full story of how Yo Gotti went from manifesting his dream girl on wax to scrambling to get her back while the internet watches the whole thing unravel in real time. It started with a song. Gotti put Angela Simmons in a track and announced his crush to the world without hesitation. Said he just followed her, said he had a crush on her, put it on record like he was daring the universe to respond. It was bold enough to become a moment. Angela was hip-hop royalty, Reverend Run's daughter, reality television presence, someone the culture had grown up watching. And here was this Memphis rapper turning a rap bar into a public declaration. The internet treated it as entertainment. Nobody quite expected it to eventually become a relationship, but it did. When they eventually went public, the response was immediate and enthusiastic. Fans called it grown love, a mature hip-hop power couple. 2 people who had clearly taken their time and arrived at something real. The photos were flawless, the captions were warm. Angela posted them together and the comment section exploded with people who had been rooting for this from the moment the song dropped. What the photos did not show was what insiders were already saying behind the scenes. That Angela was doing more of the emotional heavy lifting than was comfortable for her. That Gotti's schedule and priorities left her feeling like she was not at the top of the list. That a woman who was building her own businesses, fashion, fitness, a whole independently constructed identity that had nothing to do with being anyone's girlfriend, was looking for something more substantial than picture-perfect moments and red carpet appearances. Angela is not someone who needs proximity to fame to feel validated. She grew up inside it. She has been navigating the specific complications of being a public person since she was a teenager. What she was looking for from a relationship was the thing that fame cannot manufacture: genuine prioritization. The feeling of being someone's first call rather than their best photo opportunity. And then there was GloRilla. Gotti's artist was impossible to ignore. After her breakout hit, she was everywhere. The stages, the interviews, the industry events. Always in the orbit of the man who signed her and was clearly invested in her success at a level that went beyond standard label operations.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, GloRilla, aka Big Glow, and I'm here to give y'all some dating advice. First of all, if they ain't treating you like royalty, tell them next. Second of all, let them chase you. If they not running, you not winning. And here's a pro tip. Join Tinder Youth and start matching to help your college win a free concert with me. And gonna go all in, sending likes and notes because we can get choosy. The college that goes the hardest will get the W, and hey, you might just find your next partner. Let's get them, let's go!
The Maybach truck with the red bow, the Audemars Piguet on her wrist, the stage appearances at her birthday, performing alongside her with the energy of a man who wanted the room to understand something without having to say it directly. The internet connected those dots before anyone put them in the headline. A $200,000 vehicle and a $60,000 watch are not standard artist development tools. They are statements. They communicate something about how the person giving them feels about the person receiving them. And the combination of those gifts with the constant physical presence, Gotti showing up for GloRilla in ways that were visible, public, and enthusiastic, started producing a narrative that the relationship with Angela was already navigating before it was ever officially over. Angela's response was not confrontational. It was a single Instagram storyline about wanting what wants her, about what flows flowing and what ghosts ghosting. It was a woman removing herself from a competition she had decided not to participate in. No names, no drama, no press conference, just a quiet signal to anyone paying attention that she had read the room and made a decision. The breakup happened, and then GloRilla went on Instagram Live. Whatever was said in that live session, and the specifics have been described in enough places by enough people that the broad strokes are clear, it was public, it was pointed, and it left Gotti looking exposed in a way that the controlled image of the CMG empire was not equipped to manage in real time. His artist, the woman he had been gifting Maybachs and Audemars to, putting him on blast in front of a live audience. Not quietly, not privately, but in the most visible possible format available to a person with her level of following. The embarrassment of that moment was complete in a way that is difficult to overstate. It was not just the personal dimension, it was the professional one. The narrative of Gotti as the boss, the visionary, the man who identifies talent and elevates it, all of that requires a certain kind of authority that does not survive your artist going live to publicly distance herself from you. The power dynamic that his public image depended on shifted in a single broadcast. And in the aftermath of all of that, reportedly, he started reaching back toward Angela, which is where the situation becomes something the internet has found impossible to look away from, because the sequence is too clean to ignore. Angela Simmons, the woman he made famous in a song, the woman he chased for years, the woman he eventually got and then allegedly took for granted, is now the thing he is reportedly trying to recover. After everything. After the gifts that told a different story. After the live that ended whatever was happening with GloRilla. After Angela posted her quiet exit and the whole thing collapsed in public. The flowers going to her doorstep. The late night calls she is reportedly not answering. The liking of old Instagram posts in the specific way of someone who wants their presence felt without having to directly acknowledge what they are doing. All of it is visible enough that it has become its own conversation. People watching and cataloging and commenting on a man who is now performing the pursuit he should have been performing before he gave it away. There is also the larger context surrounding Gotti that has not gone unnoticed in these conversations. The whispers about legal complications around his label, the continued presence of Young Dolph's name in discussions that keep circling back to CMG. None of it has been confirmed as anything formal, but the atmosphere it creates is exactly the kind of atmosphere that the people closest to Gotti have to factor into decisions about proximity. GloRilla, who has endorsements and festival bookings and her own trajectory to protect, going public with her distance from him makes a certain kind of strategic sense in that environment. Angela, who is a mother building a lifestyle empire around health and positivity and her son's future, has even stronger reasons to ensure that her name does not accumulate the kind of associations that could compromise what she is building. The Angela who walked away quietly before the GloRilla situation became the public spectacle it became was not naive about what she was avoiding. Her not-by-choice comment was honest. She apparently cared about the relationship and would have chosen differently if he had shown up differently. But the calm with which she moved away, the absence of drama in her exit, the way she continued posting her businesses and her son and her life without reference to any of it, that was not accidental. That was a woman who understood the full shape of what she was leaving and made peace with leaving it. Now Gotti wants back in. And Angela, who is glowing in the specific way of someone who made the right decision and knows it, is apparently not in a hurry to respond. The gap between who had the leverage at the beginning of this story and who has it now is the most complete reversal the internet has seen in this particular corner of hip-hop in a long time. He was the one who put her in a song. He was the one who waited. He was the one who eventually got what he had been chasing and then apparently failed to protect it with the same energy he used to pursue it. And now he is the one sending flowers to a doorstep and waiting to see if the phone gets picked up. Angela's three-word answer, not by choice, contains the entire arc of this story in compressed form. She did not want it to end. He is the reason it ended. And the specific humiliation of watching GloRilla put him on blast before he could even begin the conversation about making things right is the universe adding punctuation to a sentence he wrote himself. The hip-hop world is watching. The blogs are running. The comment sections are split between people clowning him and people hoping he gets a second chance. But the person whose opinion actually matters in this situation is posting her fitness content and her son's milestones and her brand partnerships without acknowledging any of the chaos circling around her name. Angela Simmons said not by choice, and from where things currently stand, she is the one with the choice now. She is the one who decides whether the flowers get acknowledged, whether the calls get returned, whether the story gets another chapter, or whether the last word has already been spoken in a quiet Instagram story about things that flow and things that ghost. Gotti spent years trying to get in her DMs. He is apparently back at the same task. Only this time, the whole world is watching what she decides to do about it. The GloRilla situation deserves its own examination, separate from what it means for Gotti's relationship with Angela. Because GloRilla going live to publicly create distance from her label boss was not a small thing professionally. It was a significant move from an artist at a delicate moment in her career, when the momentum from her breakout records was still building, when the endorsements were stacking, when the festival bookings and the industry recognition were all pointing in the right direction. Going live to essentially announce that whatever dynamic had existed between her and Gotti was over required her to calculate that the cost of staying silent about it was higher than the cost of the attention that public separation would generate. That calculation tells you something about how the situation around Gotti was being perceived internally. When an artist at GloRilla's level decides that publicly distancing herself from her own label boss is the cleaner option, the alternative she's distancing herself from is not attractive. She was not being dramatic for engagement. She was making a business decision dressed in emotional language. And the specific format she chose, a live broadcast, unscripted, available for everyone to clip and share, suggests she wanted the distance to be public and unambiguous, rather than quietly managed through the normal channels of industry repositioning. For Gotti, that live was the moment everything consolidated into a single public image. The relationship with Angela had already ended. The whispers about CMG and the legal complications had already started circulating. His biggest commercial artist going live to distance herself from him was the third element that made the full picture unmistakable. In a compressed period of time, he lost the girlfriend, lost the artist's apparent personal loyalty, and watched the internet process all of it simultaneously with the kind of unified energy that social media reserves for situations that have the shape of a complete story. Complete stories are the ones that stick. And this one has the shape of a complete story. The decade-long pursuit, the brief victory, the moment he failed to protect what he worked for, the public humiliation, and now the scrambling attempt to recover at least part of what was lost. Angela Simmons represents the most recoverable piece of what he lost. The legal clouds are not something he can personally manage away. GloRilla's public distance is not something that an apology or a conversation can simply undo, given how publicly it was established. But Angela, the woman he declared his feelings for before anyone was even talking about them together, the woman whose departure was comparatively quiet, the woman who said, not by choice, with grace rather than vitriol, represents the possibility of a story that does not end with everything crumbling. Whether that possibility is real depends entirely on Angela. And Angela, who has been watching all of this unfold from the specific vantage point of someone who left before the worst of it happened, apparently does not feel any urgency to make that possibility real on anyone else's timeline. The not by choice answer she gave was the most honest and most contained thing she could have said about where she was emotionally at that moment. She cared. She wished it had gone differently. She respected him enough not to drag him publicly. And she was clear enough about her own standards to not pretend she was indifferent when she was not. That combination, honest without being angry, clear without being cruel, is the specific quality that made the answer land the way it did and made people respect her handling of the situation, even as they felt the weight of what she was describing. Now that answer lives in the cultural record as the defining statement of how she navigated this situation. And every subsequent move Gotti makes, the flowers, the calls, the Instagram activity, is being measured against that statement. Against the picture of a woman who was willing to be honest about still caring while making absolutely clear that caring and accepting were two different things. The internet's read of the current situation is fairly unified. Not in the cruelty sense, nobody is wishing Angela harm or Gotti permanent damage, but in the assessment sense. People who have watched this story from the beginning are largely arriving at the same conclusion, that Gotti had something real with a woman who was genuinely invested in making it work, that he did not treat that investment with the care it deserved, and that the specific public humiliation of the GloRilla situation is the kind of accountability that the universe occasionally delivers with impeccable timing. Angela said some stuff is better left unsaid, and she has maintained that position with remarkable consistency through everything that has happened since. The flowers are apparently going unanswered. The calls are apparently going to voicemail. And whatever quiet moves she is making in her own life, the businesses, the sun, whatever or whoever is making her glow the way she is apparently glowing, are happening without reference to Gotti or to the chaos circling his name. That is a complete answer, delivered in behavior rather than words. and it is landing exactly the way she probably intended it to land, as a door that is currently closed and is not showing any signs of opening. There is a dimension of this story that keeps getting overlooked in the broader conversation about who won and who lost and who fumbled what. Angela Simmons has been a public figure since she was a teenager. She has navigated the specific complications of being the daughter of one of hip-hop's most recognizable figures, the subject of constant public commentary about her appearance and her choices, and a woman building her own professional identity in spaces that already had a version of her they preferred before she arrived. The relationship with Gotti was, for a significant period, one of the most positive things being written about her. The grown-up love story, the couple that made sense, the pairing that had a real foundation rather than just surface compatibility. Watching that narrative dissolve, and then watching the GloRilla situation unfold in real time, and then having to navigate the public conversation about being the woman who almost had something that went sideways. None of that is easy regardless of how gracefully you handle it. Angela's handling of it has been exceptional. The quiet exit before the loudest moments. The three-word answer that was honest without being performative. The consistent focus on her businesses and her son in the aftermath. All of it reflects a level of self-possession that the situation did not require, but that she brought to it anyway. What she is building in the post-Gotti chapter appears from the outside to be exactly the kind of thing she said she was looking for when she described wanting a man who meets her standards. Whether that is a new relationship or simply the fullness of a life that does not have room for the specific complications that come with this one, her visible energy suggests she is not sitting in the absence of what she lost. She is sitting in the presence of what she has. Gotti, by contrast, is apparently sitting in the absence. The flowers without responses, the calls without answers, the gap between who he was when he was chasing her the first time and who he is now, with more public complications, more visible vulnerability, and the specific disadvantage of having been the person who created the circumstances that ended things, is the gap he is trying to close from a position that his own choices reduced. The down in the DM fantasy came true. He got the girl. He did not protect her the way she deserved to be protected. And now he is back in the DMs, or the equivalent, hoping the story has another chapter. Angela Simmons, 3 words at a time, is apparently telling him it does not. At least not yet. At least not like this. At least not until the flowers on a doorstep start looking less like desperation and more like the kind of consistent showing up that would have prevented any of this from happening in the first place. That is the specific lesson this whole situation is delivering. Not that Gotti is a bad person or Angela is a saint, but that the energy you use to chase something is supposed to continue after you get it. That winning someone is not the end of the pursuit. It is the beginning of the actual work. And that a woman who has built her entire public identity around standards and self-respect is not going to return to a situation just because the person who did not honor those things is now, post-embarrassment, finally demonstrating that he understands their value. So here is where this lands. Yo Gotti publicly chased Angela Simmons for years, finally got her, allegedly took her for granted while showering his artist with luxury gifts that told their own story, watched GloRilla publicly distance herself from him on Instagram Live, and is now reportedly trying to win Angela back through flowers and unanswered late-night calls. Angela, who walked away before the full collapse happened, is apparently unbothered and not responding. Do you think Angela should give Gotti another chance? Or has he used up every opportunity he was ever going to get with her? And does GloRilla publicly dumping him on live change how you see the whole arc of this story? Drop everything you are thinking in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe, because Angela has not spoken directly on any of this yet. And if she ever does, it is going to be the only thing anyone is talking about.